Hi again, everyone. I'm Ollie Matthews. This is Societal Narcissism. This video is sponsored by contribution from Erin, formerly Anonymous E, and here's her story. Hey, Ollie, my 18-year-old just informed me that another one of his friend's mothers died of an overdose. I say another because this is the fifth one of his friends to lose his mother in just 18 years. Ollie, I'm 46 and I have a fair amount of friends. To this day, exactly zero of their mothers have died of an overdose. This is scary. Could you give your take on our future as a society as we leave so many children without mothers because of this opioid epidemic? I know we're losing fathers as well, but I'm noticing more mothers, and you've been on the topic of mothers a lot lately. Thanks, Ollie. Stay well. Aaron. Well, the opioid epidemic is hitting our generation and the generations behind us a lot harder than it had in the past. Like Virginia, Virginia was born in 1921. She didn't die of an overdose, but she pilled herself to death because she burned a hole. She had so many opioids, she burned a hole in her esophagus, and congestive lung failure. Food went out of her esophagus into her lungs, rotted in her lungs, drowned in her own food rot, and died of congestive lung failure. I mean, and she was 81 when that happened. But I think what we're seeing here in relation to the mothers, you know, dying of these overdoses, what I would ask is how many of these mothers were single mothers, either divorced or never married, no father, no man in the life in their life, and how many of them were still married. Um, the main issue is the opioids have been pushed since the late, really in the late 80s with the pill factories in Florida and Arkansas, in the Rust Belt states where the factories, the jobs went away, and the opioids came in, just pilling out and addicting, you know, entire swaths of this country, entire swaths, and a lot of people in Gen X, a lot of people, even though you're Gen X and you're saying you're not really experiencing it as much, it is probably happening more now with the younger generations because the pills are just so prevalent and they're everywhere. And the thing I noticed about pill takers, the difference between men and women, and there's plenty of guys who overdose. Maybe not so much on pills, fentanyl, heroin, injectables, stuff like that. Where the women seem to get into their overdose problem is because they're mixing. Is a lot of women are mixing the pills, the opioids, with alcohol, wine, vodka, whiskey, um, and that is a deadly, deadly, deadly combination. They're getting pilled up, they're getting drunk, they're mixing it up, and at some point, you're going to take it too far, and you're going to die, you're going to overdose. And we have seen such a expansion of these pills being pushed. And like, what did the Sacklers get a $10 billion fine, something like that, after they made, I think, what was it, like 100 billion off of opioids, and whatever these other companies made off opioids, it was a drop in the bucket. It was meaningless to them. It was meaningless. This whole thing was about dumbing down and numbing out an entire generations, an entire society. Why? Because addicted populations are easier to control. Populations to have gotten away from the nuclear family, whether it be by divorce, out of wedlock childhood, or death, are easier to control. It makes the children angry. It gives them excuses. It gives them an out. It gives the government an opportunity to step in and take the role of a parent. The boomers had their drugs. They had their they had their drugs. They liked their pills as well. My mother, obviously drunky the fuck clown, loved her booze. Loves her booze. I did a video, and it's not only the and understand, it's not only the opioids, it's the SSRIs as well. Let's not forget the SSRIs as well. And again, the SSRIs with alcohol are even worse. They're even more dangerous than the opioids when you mix them with booze. And when you got people like my ex-wife, McFaddy, going on Facebook, pumping up SSRIs for the children and not to stigmatize them in one post, and the rest of her fucking page is all about drinking, drinking here, drinking there, I need a drink, margaritas, vodka, whiskey, booze. Like, this is what it is. You got generations that are refusing to grow up and are trying to stay in the party lifestyle forever. It's a recipe for disaster. And if you got 40-year-olds, 50-year-olds like my ex-wife, 60-year-olds trying to party like they're 20 years old, those aren't happy people to begin with. The people who are overdosing weren't happy people to begin with. They're looking to escape. And when the pills don't become enough or the booze doesn't come enough, and you got to keep stepping it up and stepping it up and stepping it up until disaster happens. And I would submit these mothers, or even fathers, whoever it may be, who are overdosing, weren't good parents in the first place. It was these kids being raised by these types are screwed either way. They're screwed if their parents live. They're screwed if their parents die. Because if they're living, they're watching them take these pills and booze and whatever other drugs anyway, living like children. And if they die, they have to deal with the overdose, the death, and trying to survive alone. It's tough. But understand, this is all by design. This is all the powers that be, the big pharma, big pharma, and the oligarchs, and the government, and the communists, and the Marxists trying to dope up the society, because a doped up society is easier to control. Now the children are victims, and they are victims. But once you're giving them this victim status, now they're going to use the victim status forever, and then use that victim status to now get doped up themselves. Well, now I'm doped up because my mother was an addict, and now I have to deal, and I can't deal, and I need this, and I need that. And the whole thing is a slippery slope down into the gates of hell. And it's a lot easier. We close so many businesses, we closed factories, we closed industry, and then flooded in these painkillers, these pills, and SSRIs. And we're putting children on these SSRIs at younger and younger ages. And now they're children, now they're becoming adults. Now they're going to start drinking. Now they've been taking SSRIs for how many years, and now they're drinking, now they're combining it, and now you're going to get more overdoses. It's beyond the mothers. But I understand what you're saying, why it seems like it's more mothers overdosing than fathers, is because I think the mothers are more apt to mix the wine, the booze, with the SSRIs and the painkillers. So, because the women are generally, I think, more unhappy than men are, so then they have to up their game on how much numbing they need, and they take it way too far. And that's how I see it. So I hope that helps. Thank you so much for another contribution and story, Aaron. I really appreciate it. Thank you to everybody watching. Please leave any opinions or advice in the comment section below. And again, if you want your story read on the channel, you have a topic you'd like me to cover, something you'd like to expose, you'd like to set up a Skype, a phone call, have a private video made, you'd like to sponsor a video like this for someone who needs help and can't afford it, or just make a contribution to the channel in general to keep it supported, growing, and successful, because this channel survives 100% on contributions from all of you. Without you guys, all this goes away. So if you like what you see here and you want to see more videos like this, you know what to do with either the Cash App, Zelle, PayPal, and email links in the description box below. Also, please like and share this video wherever you can. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't, and be sure to click the subscription bell to be notified of all my video uploads. Also, be sure to subscribe to both my channels on Rumble. Follow me on Twitter and Telegram as well. I'm Ollie Matthews.